coaching for a while, I don't know, I still feel this way. Like when I go to parties or social gatherings, people are like, what do you do? I feel a little bit strange being like, oh, I'm a health and fitness coach. Because the title coach, I feel like in this society, people just, they kind of have this idea of what that is. Of, oh, you stand in the class and you bark orders and people see you for an hour and then they leave, right? Like your job is to like make people sweat and feel like they died and get people skinny. And I'm like, oh, no. For me, that is not what a coach is. I like want to start sharing with others to change what the perspective of coach is. To be a truly impactful coach really is an art.
What's up, everybody? I'm here with the founder and creator of Invictus University, Kirsten Arndt. Welcome to the show.
Hello, psyched to be here.
I'm excited to connect with you today. You have created this wonderful education platform that I think it deserves a little bit more context. It deserves a safe space for us to digest what it means to be a coach and a really impactful curriculum that you've spent a lot of time and energy putting together to help serve people. And I'm just very excited to have you here today so that way we can, as you can see behind me, take a peek behind the curtain around all things Invictus University.
Nice. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. And I think I'm just really excited to start having more conversations and changing the dialogue, I think, in the health and fitness space about what it means to be a good coach. And consequently, what kind of experiences and training coaches need to grow and to really hone this craft.
Absolutely. We've had some really cool special conversations over the last 5 or 6 years. Just in passing at Invictus, it's cool observing your style of coaching and how you're not biased just by your own personal lens. You pull in different styles from experiences you've had from other coaches, from seminars, and there's no one size fits all model. And that's what I really love about Invictus University is that it's not this 10-step approach as to how to coach like Invictus coaches or as to how to coach like Kirsten. It's more so, this is a broad and inclusive approach that pulls in principles and gives you tools in your toolbox wherever you are on the coaching journey. Where did this ideation kind of come from? Because like the lens that I have is like Invictus University is a blender, and you took so many different amazing ideas and you're making it digestible for a large demographic of people to consume.
Yeah, that's I feel like that's a great kind of like analogy. I feel like Invictus U came from a little bit of like my coaching journey development. So I came to Invictus almost 7 years ago now, and I was very much a small fish in a big pond. And at my previous gym, which was much smaller in another state, I was a big fish in a very little pond. And I knew that when I came to Invictus, I was going to be nobody. I came and I was surrounded by super high level coaches that had been in the game longer than me. They were doing things so differently than I was. And I had to like really remind myself on the daily of, hey, I'm here to learn and grow. And if I want to become a great coach, which I really do, and I did at the time, like I needed to put the ego aside and not worry about, okay, hey, am I the best coach right now? Am I like the most popular coach? And, you know, that can be hard if you're a type A personality where you're like, I want to be instantly excellent at whatever I do. And so I came to Invictus and I just watched and I listened, and I would just kind of hang around when it wasn't my class time, and I'd watch how other coaches solved the puzzle of the day, and I'd watch them. I mean, this sounds creepy, but like I'd observe them in their semi-privates and their private sessions, and I saw all these different tactics and techniques. and that's like the really cool thing about Invictus is if you come to Invictus and you come 5 different days and you have 5 different coaches, you're going to have 5 very different coaching flavors. And we really invite our coaches to be themselves and lean into their strengths. And so then I think over time, basically, I started to piece together that it wasn't that the coaches were like willy-nilly doing whatever they wanted, but they were all taking these different approaches and methods to delivering an incredible service to our clients. So they were leaning into their strengths, which is why, like, when a new coach comes on, we always tell them, hey, don't coach like me. Don't coach like them. Coach like you, but then follow these methods and tactics to like hit the Invictus principles of delivering high quality coaching, which is, an extraordinary coaching environment, making individuals in a group feel seen and heard, individualizing group fitness for them. And then now we all get to like express that in our own special way. So over the years, I just realized I was like, okay, we're all solving the coaching puzzle differently, but we are arriving at the same spot because we're following the same principles. It just looks a little different. And that's kind of where that came from.
I love the way you described that. I think it's really cool to take that lens to observe how you got to this point. I think what's also incredible that I heard you say is it's just an opportunity for everybody to be unapologetically themselves and maybe take pieces from other coaches, maybe take certain strategies, tactics, emotional intelligence, where you're blending the 2 concepts of science and art, which we'll discuss here shortly. And I just absolutely love the way you describe that. It's something that I think is a little bit lost in the world of coaching, because there is this social narrative of you have to dress this way, you have to look like this, you're supposed to operate with this rhyme and rhythm. And I think it really aligns well with our concept of redefining fitness, is also redefining coaching. And with that being said, we chatted briefly offline around what does it mean to be a fitness coach? This term is thrown all over LinkedIn. It's all over people's social media. For you, Kirsten, what does it mean to be a fitness coach, and how does that relate to Invictus University?
Yeah, that's a really great question. As someone that is like, I don't know a single coach that gets into the health and fitness space because they're not incredibly passionate about helping others, right? Like, I don't know a coach that comes in for themselves. They're like, they are so driven by helping others kind of close that gap between capacity and potential, and, helping others reveal to themselves like who they actually are or who they can become. And coaching, I believe that coaching itself is good. Coaching is a gift, and to be a coach is also a gift. Being around so many people and like sharing in that transaction of energy and growth and development, it is as powerful for the client as it is, I think, for the coach. And in like the age of social media and everybody's marketing and selling you something and everybody wants it to be a quick fix, it's very easy to slap the title coach on your bio or your resume or whatever product that you're putting your name on. But for me, coaching is a personal relationship, even in a group fitness setting. It's knowing the human in front of you, not just the athlete. So it doesn't matter if somebody says what their performance goals are to me. I still have to get the human capable of believing that they can do those things. I still have to get the human, the habits and the mindset that are going to be prerequisites for the athlete within them to execute on. And so for me, I don't know, coaching is a very holistic craft and it marries a lot of technical skills and then tactical skills. It's like you said, a little bit of art, a little bit of science. And I think nowadays it feels easy to be like, oh, I just need to know the science of coaching. And what does that look like? Oh, I just need to know how to program. I need to know a better squat cycle. I need to know a better deadlift cue. And I think you and I both know we're like, that you think that that's the answer, and that's not the key to being a good coach.
Mm-hmm. I think you have to go through that experience a little bit to learn that, because we could say it and people are like, you've been in the game for over a decade, you don't get the new terminology, or it's gently dismissing age, wisdom, and experience. And I think you hit so many nails on the head there. The first one being, it's a personal relationship. We coach the human first, and that's what you're really emphasizing through Invictus University. It's not just the X's and O's and what you learned about program design, or how to move a little bit better. That is a part of the game. There is strength and conditioning principles and philosophies and periodization and understanding terms as well. There's probably its own language within the world of fitness, very similar to the financial world or any other world. But then you took it even a step further, and you talked about this word that hits very hard for the both of us, and that is the word belief. I personally think the greatest gift you can give somebody is the art of believing in them unapologetically, where they can tangibly feel it. In their lowest of low moments, can we co-pilot and be there with them and for them to help guide them through some of those stickier moments within life, and have the appropriate tools of the X's and O's of programming in those moments, understanding how movement and exercise selection can shift people's states between the anxiety and depressive spectrum, understanding when and how to push. Do they need a win that day? Using emotional intelligence to recognize, like, oh, they're pretty chatty, like they might be a little bit more anxious today. Maybe I need to back off certain things, or maybe I need to press a little bit harder there, or maybe I need to get out of the way and allow them to socialize with others.
Trident Coffee is sponsoring this episode of the Invictus Mindset Podcast. My guys over at Trident taught me something really important this last year, that we are all a bundle of stories, both good and bad, and everything in between. At Trident, they're storytellers. All of their cold brews remind their customers that they are part of something bigger than themselves. They help create connections through symbology and storytelling that engage their customers on an emotional level, and this distinguishes them from other coffee brands. You can find Trident in Imperial Beach and in Coronado. They offer over 14 plus nitro cold brews along with dairy-free options. You can find the perfect brew and pair it with one of their treats from their keto bakery. All these options will allow you to support your health and fitness journey with Trident Coffee. They're more than just a coffee company. You can check them out over at tridentcoffee.com and use code Invictus20 for 20% off online and in tap rooms. Once again, that's tridentcoffee.com. Use code Invictus20 for 20% off online and in tap rooms. Take your coffee experience to the next level. Two important factors for us over at Invictus Mindset are true care and attention to detail. My friends over at RX Smart Gear have been bringing innovative fitness tools to the market since 2009. From their award-winning Evo speed ropes to their amazing gymnastics grips to their line of inflatable fitness equipment, they're constantly looking to problem solve within the fitness industry. They're always allowing us to have our gear work for us rather than against us. Hop on over to RX Smart Gear and use discount code Invictus Mindset to shop their latest cutting edge gear. Have your gear work with you and not against you.
And it's this unique exploration and tinkering that I think is just super fun, but the way you've created structure around all of that and integrated, as you described, habits, mindset, and principles has me jaw dropped, but also like, hey, I want to know more. And I think you've been kind of tossed a little bit some frequently asked questions, and people are so curious. And we can sit here and do the coaching articulation dance, but for lack of better terms, if you could, can you just describe what Invictus University is for our listeners?
Yeah. Essentially, Invictus University is, right now, it's an online course where people essentially are going to learn the methods and the principles that we have kind of like honed and crafted at Invictus for over a decade to make really successful and effective and impactful group GPP coaches. And the reason I want to highlight that this is designed to make excellent group coaches is because I think people bypass that skill. They think, I need to be a great coach, and then I need to go coach individuals. When in reality, coaching the group is, to be an excellent group coach, I think is like being a direct, like an orchestra conductor. I actually think it's easier to go to coach one-on-one. It's a totally different vibe, but when we think about it, the potential that an excellent group coach can have to influence large swaths of the community is humongous. And there's power when people are surrounded by a group. They will often elevate themselves, elevate their performance, elevate the vibration, right, that they're operating on. And so I think it's really important that we kind of dig into, hey, how do we make the group fitness environment even better, more impactful? And a lot of that is, okay, what's my coaching skills? And this is something that we do excellently at Invictus. We run excellent group coaching environments where we individualize for the human in front of us. We coach the human and the athlete, whether it's a group of 5, 10, or 25. We definitely give a very technical coaching environment, but we also create, our coaches have the ability to kind of like read the room, to change the environment, change the experience for the group that is in front of them. And it's kind of like you said, that this can feel like, oh, I'm just tinkering, but in actuality, there is structured principles and methods behind achieving this. And Invictus University is about sharing those skills and tactics that we have noticed create really successful coaching environments.
Yeah, I think that all of those things are very true. I'll also take it a step further and talk about just general social skills and understanding, as you kind of alluded to, how to create a symphony. How can we get everybody operating at close to the same frequency and vibration? And that takes practice. It takes art. It takes bringing everybody together for a group warm-up, being a leader and really providing structure and instruction, but then also allowing for some of the side conversations, maybe pairing people together on occasion, creating similarities between athletes or between members around them liking a certain movement or disliking the joke that we made. Like sometimes you got to make fun of yourself a little bit, or maybe you poke back and you tease one of the members a little bit, but understanding how to uniquely transition between roles, and then simultaneously really pay attention to the details around, if somebody just got a promotion at work, or if somebody may be going through a divorce, or somebody got their hair done, or maybe somebody got their nails done, or got some new shoes or some new leggings. And having those things is just mental notes. So that way, when you're transitioning, if you're trying to create an amazing experience, there's a customizable, compliment or a little nuanced statement that's made that grabs attention, that creates connection and shows that you give a shit, and then allows you to then create buy-in with the technical or tactical cue that may relate to the fitness program for that day. And you're doing an amazing job of articulating that I mean, previously, I don't think I would have been able to say that. It would have been lack of structure for me, but just observing you and learning the culture shift that you've also created amongst our staff and our coaches is very helpful. And so for people listening to this or maybe checking out Invictus University online, who is this program for? How does it fit for maybe a newer coach or maybe a very well-experienced coach?
Yeah, for me, this could be utilized by anybody. And to like backtrack just for a second, because you were like, you said something of, hey, like if you're a coach and you're trying to create an amazing experience, I think it's important to call out that amazing experiences are almost fundamentally built on amazing happens when we feel a personal connection, right? If you're just a coach and you're going in and doing 3, 2, 1, go, and I read you the whiteboard, and what's written is what you do, and oh, you can't do that. Okay, just do less weight. You can have a good coaching experience. And the problem is that if you are a group coach and you don't have a ton of exposure to other group coaches, maybe you work at a smaller gym, there's not a lot of variety in how you're coaching, or you're not seeing other people creatively solve the coaching puzzle in a different way, then you start to homogenize how you coach. And so you think, I'm creating an amazing experience. But Invictus University, I think part of it is to like try to show people, is to almost give them coach mentors that maybe they don't have. We want to be like, hey, look at all the different ways that an Invictus coach might solve this coaching puzzle. And hopefully people see themselves of like, oh yeah, like that's my coaching style. I resonate with that. But if they see somebody else solve the coaching puzzle in a totally different way, they can pull inspiration from that, and that will diversify how they coach. And kind of like almost circle back around to the very original question you asked me of, hey, how did this come to be? For me, I went to Invictus to find coach mentorship and to grow. And I feel like Invictus U is about taking those lessons and putting them out into the world in like a virtual learning classroom, so that other people that might not have a lot of coach mentors where they are at, and they can't just pick up and leave and go to like an amazing gym and start coaching there. It's so that they can find exposure, diversity in coaching tactics and approaches.
Totally. I also want to jump in real quick around, you talked about when coaches don't get exposure to other group coaches, and that can kind of homogenize the coaching structure.
Yes.
And really lead to probably biases and stagnation. Which,
yes.
In the coaching space, in any space really, in the human experience, stagnation sucks. That's probably a form of hell's waiting room. And I think what you're doing, like the way we kind of co-pilot the member's journey towards peak expression.
This episode is brought to you by HVMN, Health via Modern Nutrition. They launched the world's first ketone drink in 2017, and then in 2022 launched the version 2 of their exogenous ketone product line called Ketone IQ. I found that incorporating ketones into my morning routine increased my daily focus and energy. The beauty of this product is that you can stack it. It doesn't even have to replace your morning routine. My morning routine looks like taking the dog on a walk, hitting my daily shot of Ketone IQ, hopping in the cold plunge, and then finishing it off with a nice Trident coffee while I soak up some morning sunlight. Try out some ketones for yourself by using the code Invictus for 20% off Ketone IQ. Ketones are a super efficient fuel for your brain that leaves you feeling energized and clear-headed. Give it a shot. I promise you won't regret it. Once again, use code Invictus for 20% off Ketone IQ. Move fast and break shit. This is one of the core values at LSKD and something that we fully resonate with here at the Invictus Mindset Podcast. LSKD develops functional sportswear with a streetwear aesthetic that's on a mission to inspire you to chase the vibe through sport, fitness, and adventure. Through my experiences with LSKD products and their team members, I have found a brand that I can call home that keeps me performing at my highest level through fitness and business. I train daily in the rep shorts and love the versatility they offer, so I can go from training at the gym directly to meetings, client consults, running errands, or preparing for podcasts. The LSKB vibe has finally reached San Diego, and we want you to experience it too. Go to us.lskd.co to start shopping today. We want to inspire you to chase the vibe.
I think what you're also creating is a co-pilot for the coach to then have access to education and mentors, leading to longevity in the career and mitigating stagnation.
Yeah, mitigating
which I think
stagnation
is so special.
and burnout, right? It's like
Yeah.
what leads group coaches to burnout is they start to get bogged down with the repetitive nature of coaching on the day-to-day. And yes, coaching is a series of repetitive tasks. However, the goal is to inject the skill of curiosity and fresh eyes to coaches. And you kind of asked, hey, who is this for? Like, what is a novice coach versus an experienced coach going to get out of Invictus U? And one thing I would say is for experienced coaches is that from Invictus University, I hope that you can get a set of fresh eyes or a fresh, a breath of fresh air of, okay, how can I look at my coaching puzzle again? Because experienced coaches have the reps. They've seen it. They've kind of probably honed in some patterns of, hey, generally when I see this fault, this is the issue. So maybe they don't need to dig super deep into adding more technical coaching tools to their tool belt. But if we can give them a new lens to look through of how can we get more creative with our coaching, how can we get more creative with our problem solving in the warm-up with individualizing for injuries in front of us, for individualizing this group program for the people in front of us, I think it can interject like freshness and excitement back into their coaching style. So it's not that I'm going to tell an experienced coach, hey, you're coaching this movement wrong. We can clean up technical stuff, and we do in Invictus University, but really it's to help them think more creatively about how to coach the humans in front of them, how to connect with them, and how to inspire their coaching again.
I think that's a really cool way to put it, and really gives hope to the coach that's been in the space for a very long time and injects a unique lens. I like the way you described that. I almost like used imagery that like Invictus University is like a fresh set of glasses and, trying their best to instill seeing things from different perspectives. And I think perspective shifting is such a special part of the human experience. What can a novice coach gain from Invictus University if they're trying to integrate themselves into the coaching space and get the tools in their toolbox to begin the coaching journey?
Yeah, a couple things. So there's like on a personal level, I just want all novice coaches to know that you can be so effective with what you know right now. I remember that state, and I'm sure you do too, when you were a younger coach and you kind of started to go around coaches that were better than you, and you got this glimpse of, oh, there's so much I don't know. So then you start to feel really insecure about being effective with what you do know. You're like, oh my gosh, like I don't know as much as that master coach or that head coach or that gym over there. How can I even be impactful with my minimal knowledge? And I just want to tell every like coach that's starting their journey, like maybe they're like within the first 2 years, scrap that idea, scrap that insecurity, dig into growth. The experience and learning will come, but we can be impactful with what we know now. Because if every experienced coach waited till they knew like what they know now to like try to coach, we'd all be waiting forever. And how I coach now at year 8 is not how I coached at year 6. It's not how I coached at year 4. It's not how I coach at year 2. So I have to be comfortable with, I'm always going to be growing. I'm going to be changing my tool set, but wherever I am today as a coach, I can be impactful. That's my own like personal, like, because I hear that all the time from new coaches. They come to Invictus and they're like, how can I be like you? And I'm like, don't be like me. Be like you right now and take these principles and grow. On the flip side, on like the technical skill side, if a younger, more like less experienced coach is doing Invictus U, I think that they are going to be given a roadmap that they will be able to travel for a long time, right? What they get from the curriculum the first time is going to be one thing. And then they're going to find 1 or 2 technical things that they can start to incorporate. They're going to clean up their whiteboard brief. They're going to start changing their coaching language. And that's going to reveal new coaching opportunities for them and give them new opportunities to explore and implement new tactics. And then in a year or 2, they're going to dig into those patterns again, and they're going to have a whole new skill set. And the answer that they will have for those clients will have evolved because their technical and tactical skill set will have evolved. Their coaching eye will have evolved. So I think a younger coach will have a lot, and they're going to dig into certain technical things. And they might relate more to, okay, hey, I'm learning how to see movement faults. I'm learning how to correct them. You know, we talk a lot about tension, helping clients build tension, not just show us shapes, not just show us, certain depth for the sake of a rep. And I think that younger coaches they tend to seek wanting the technical skill set because that feels good to them. They're like, well, if I can just give a better cue, I'm a better coach. And they will get that. But they will also have a lot of tactical skill sets that come from Invictus University around language and facilitating, different coaching styles to meet, visual learners, auditory learners, kinesthetic learners. And I think just having those conversations will give them a lot to chew on.
It gets me fired up seeing you come alive, describing some of these things. And there's so many things to unpack with what you just said. The first thing that comes to mind is that famous John Wooden quote and related to novice coaches or newer coaches. Never allow what you can't do to affect what you can do.
Yep.
And I think there's skill transfer, right? From most coaches were formerly an athlete in some capacity, or there's transferable skills from previous experiences. And just it really hones in leaning into your strengths and then working on your weaknesses so that they can elevate to the level of your strengths in due time. And I think that's something we all work on across a lifespan. And then I can't help but lean into a story. I'll use myself as an example first. When I first got to Invictus in 2014, I had all these skills, all this knowledge from working at a university, which was a completely different setting. And I was throwing around strength and conditioning jargon and knowledge, and it hit some and then missed with others. I'm sure I got the lens of, he's egotistical because he's using all these fancy words. And so I actually have spent a lot of the last 6 to 8 years unlearning a lot of the things that I learned, because the program that works is the one that's executed by the receiver of the program, not the super scientific approach that has this periodized model that would work phenomenally for a lab rat or maybe a professional athlete whose whole life is geared towards this thing. And I can't help but think about this story where this gentleman was running I think it was like a 200-mile race of some sort. And the train sequence was supposed to be run for 3 or 4 hours, sleep for 2. And then you play this game on and off until you get to the end of the journey. Well, this particular individual was a novice and didn't know those rules. So they just kept running. And then, as a byproduct, they were taking their salts and getting their sugars and getting their nutrients while running. And then at the very end of the race, he actually ended up winning by almost 2 days. And people are like, oh my gosh, how is that possible? Like, did you even sleep? He's like, sleep. I didn't know I was supposed to do that. And so as a byproduct of not having the like super stringent roadmap, he ended up performing really well because he didn't know the traditional protocols. And so I also just want to throw it out there for the novice coach, like you also have this unique gift, very similar to the Banksy behind me with the child peeking behind the curtain. Children have this unbelievable gift. Just observe them in the sandbox or at the park where they believe all things are possible. There haven't been limits or parameters put on them yet. And that's the gift of the novice coach. It's like they have all this magic.
LMNT, pronounced element, is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means a science-backed electrolyte ratio with none of the junk. No sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, and most importantly, no BS. Whether it's after a long workout, hot yoga, or an intense sauna and ice session, I've been using Element to keep me hydrated and replenishing all of my lost electrolytes. So many of us wake up chronically fatigued, and the antidote to this is salt water. Salt has previously been blamed for blood pressure issues, but new research shows that replenishing salt and electrolytes can lead to more energy, no headaches, a clear mind, and enhanced focus. Use the link drinklmnt.com/InvictusMindset to make any purchase of Element, and you will receive a free sample pack with all of the Element flavors. Once again, that's drinklmnt.com/InvictusMindset.
And because it hasn't been like put into a lane, there's so many different opportunities there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's beautifully said.
So cool. You often use the term the art of coaching. It gets me super fired up because when I think of somebody working with their hands, I think of like a laborer. When I think of somebody working with their hands and their mind, I think craftsman. But then when I think of somebody using their hands, their mind, and their heart, I think of artist. And I think you do a really cool job of combining all of those attributes into your description of the art of coaching. Can you share that with us?
I think you just knocked it out of the park with that description of the art of coaching. Yeah, okay, so I guess I think you can relate, right? I think we're both career coaches, and to like maybe like dig into like my personal story of coaching, I don't think that I thought I would be a professional career coach. I went to school for something else. I went to a reputable college. I studied earth sciences. I thought I was going to be like a geologist. And then I went back to school. I was a graphic designer and a web developer for a while. And being in the health and fitness space after being like a professional athlete, that was just something I could never really separate myself from. So I started coaching for fun. And then I realized I really enjoyed it. I maybe had a gift for connecting with others. But coaching for a while, I don't know, I still feel this way. Like when I go to parties or social gatherings, people are like, what do you do? I feel a little bit strange being like, oh, I'm a health and fitness coach. Because the title coach, I feel like in this society, people just, they kind of have this idea of what that is. Of, oh, you stand in the class and you bark orders and people see you for an hour and then they leave, right? Like your job is to like make people sweat and feel like they died and get people skinny. And I'm like, oh, no. For me, that is not what a coach is. And I like want to start sharing with others to change what the perspective of coach is. To be a truly impactful coach really is an art because humans are not robots. And that's like kind of where it comes back to, you can have the best program in the world. You can be a PhD exercise science degree and be like, okay, if you want to have the most muscle mass or you want to be lined up to win this race, this is exactly the program you must follow. The perfect program, it probably exists in like a scientific template, but humans are not perfect machines. So what we need on the day-to-day changes, which is why you need a human element, a human coach to help also guide you down that path of, okay, how did we sleep? How was stress today? Because life is stressful. How's your personal relationships? How's your nutrition? How's your sleep? It doesn't matter if your goals are really performance oriented or if they're very gen pop oriented of, I want to be healthy to live my best life, to show up for others and myself outside of the gym. The art of coaching is marrying this technical stuff with this human, very messy stuff. And that's why I feel like humans will never be replaced by like Chat GPT as coaches because you can't just spit out a formula.
I think it's cool the way you kind of articulated that, because what comes to mind is, let's say I checked in with you around your sleep and you're like, oh, I got 6 hours last night. Well, if you're a professional athlete or you're trying to pursue something like the CrossFit Games, I might get on you a little bit. Hey, you need to take personal responsibility for your sleep. You need to do a better job with your pre-sleep routine. Like, that tremendously matters in how you recover and the disciplinary factor that's going to impact the next day. If you're a mom with a young baby and you're trying to navigate life and integrate fitness as a part of one of the spokes in the wheel, now I'm going to exercise a little bit more compassion. Oh, I'm so sorry you were up late. Like, let's change the intensity of today's session so that way it fits your needs. So by the time you leave here, you leave with a little bit more energy and feeling good to then go attack the tasks of the day. Mm-hmm. And it's understanding those differences and realizing that it's not a one-size-fits-all model of memorizing. It's in the moment. What do you feel? What do you see? You have a generalized plan, but then you also have the skill set to adapt when needed and customize, of course, as well.
Yeah. So now you're getting into the juicy part, because if somebody listens to you say that, they're like, oh, well, Bryce is talking about one-on-one with clients. And what we try to do and what we teach in Invictus University is that individualization, the adapting of a program to meet the needs of the person in front of you, what they need and what they want, that can and absolutely should be done in the group setting. And that's what excellent group coaching really is. It's the individualization of group fitness. That is next level group fitness coaching. And you talk about, okay, hey, when somebody comes in and I'm reading their vibe, or they're telling me their state, or they're giving me some background information, they're creating a colorful picture for me of who they are today, where they're at. Some people are going to be like, oh, well, like that's just like willy-nilly on the fly making changes. No, that is a finely honed skill set that has taken like years to cultivate, many coaching reps to cultivate, so that you can execute on the fly for the person in front of you. And that's what we try to teach. We try to teach that skill set in Invictus University, the skill set of how to prescribe an appropriate customization, whether it's for a one-on-one coach setting or it's for an individual in a group setting. Mm-hmm. There is a formula to it of knowing the human, knowing, their background information, injury, experience, their short-term and their long-term goals. Also the technical skill for the coach of, do I understand the intended stimulus on the whiteboard today? Essentially, what does the workout plan to elicit from the group in front of me? And then the coaching skill set of, okay, is who I'm looking at right now, right? Is it the tired parent? Is it the exhausted CEO? Is it the jazzed up, Navy officer? Is what they need meshing with what the workout wants from them. And then the coaching beauty, the art of coaching, is starting to marry those two paths of finding the opportunities for overlap. And that's the individualization of group fitness. And if you're not doing that, you better start learning the skill set, because that's the future of coaching. It's no longer just going into a group fitness setting, wherever it is, boot camp, yoga, rowing, whatever. Group fitness is magical, but the future of it is, and the longevity of it is, how do we individualize group fitness for people so that they can stay in the game longer? Because not everyone should or can do one-on-one private coaching environments. First of all, it's cost prohibitive for like 80 to 90% of the population. Fitness in this country is not cheap. One-on-one private fitness coaching is really not cheap. So we need to elevate the game of our group coaches so that they can make group fitness appropriate for every individual in front of them. And Invictus University is here to teach you that skill set.
For sure. I also think it's important not to fit a square peg into a round hole. Here's the program on the whiteboard. You have to do this. I think that's a old narrative that maybe was a part of the social construct of group fitness. And then there was this feeling of, oh, if I ask to change, now I'm less than, or now I'm not a part of the group. But I think also what you're doing, Kirsten, is you're eliciting higher level education to take into consideration the variables. Oh, this person has a shoulder injury. We have a squat pattern today. An overhead squat's probably not the best. Maybe we can integrate a creative and innovative squat pattern that still elicits a similar modality, still allows him to be a part of the group, but doesn't piss off that shoulder more than it needs to. And I think that's sometimes the narrative that needs to shift as far as the culture. And I think changing the language specifically from the term scale, which for whatever reason carries a negative connotation, and shifting it over to customize helps change the understanding and the vibe around doing things that fit your needs. And I mean, it seems like common sense to everybody listening, even when I say it out loud, like, hey, if I have this injury and I do that exercise, from past experience and my gentle pattern recognition, I know that exercise seems to bother my injury. Maybe it's not the exercise, maybe it's just how I do it. So maybe I can work on it in a slower setting or in a very controlled setting with safe parameters to improve that. But when it comes to the metabolic conditioning or the WOD or the high intensity-ish portion of class, maybe I regress that particular skill so I can get more out of it. And then as a byproduct, leave the gym having learned, having explored, and then having gotten the intended stimulus that you articulated on the whiteboard.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? You just said it. Having your clients learn, having them explore, and having them get an intended stimulus. And they should be part of that conversation of, okay, what is their intention for the day? And a lot of times when we come into group fitness environments, in the past, those environments have not asked the member or invited. I like that word. It is very infrequent that group fitness environments in the past have invited their members to reflect within and ask, okay, what do I need today? What is my intention for the day? It's always been about, well, it's about what's on the whiteboard, and the whiteboard is law, right? So it doesn't matter if I slept 2 hours and what I really need is something to just keep me moving in zone 2 today. The whiteboard says I'm supposed to do Fran, so that's what I'm going to do. And I think that as we get further into the pursuit of true health and fitness for GPP populations, coaches need to start recognizing that sometimes the stimulus of the whiteboard is not what the individual in front of you needs for the day. And it's a skill to create a culture that is, one, welcoming of adaptations and customizations in the program and invites people, creates a safe environment that if there's 20 people in the class and 5 of them are doing something that looks a little different than the rest, that's okay. It's not this, oh, I have to do what my neighbor next to me on the squat rack is doing. I have to back squat heavy doubles because everyone else is back squatting heavy doubles. It's like, well, does that cause you back pain? No? Yeah? Okay, well, let's do something different then. It doesn't mean we can't still do lower body. It doesn't mean we still can't do a squat pattern, but let's get you that stimulus in a way that's appropriate for your skill level, your injury history, and your short and long-term goals. And you kind of talked about like, hey, the culture of these places, that's an element. And coaches, you influence the culture with your language choice, with what you write on the whiteboard. And that is part of coaching. And I think that people will be surprised when they do Invictus University that we talk a lot about these skills of language, how we use the whiteboard, our body language, learning to read your members' body language and how receptive they are to your coaching style, because those are really important coaching skills. As important as, do you see the movement fault in the deadlift? Do you see the movement fault in the snatch?
I think it's important to really note that word culture that you described, because the culture is more than just your interaction with the member that would like or need or you suggest to have the customization. It's also, how is that received by the other members in the class? Is there judgment? Is there eye rolling? Is there, oh, that person always changes the workout. He or she just doesn't want to compete. And then there's like knocking, which then deters from the member experience.
Yeah.
But if the goal is you versus you, and understanding that you're trying to leave better than when you came in, I mean, the number one job of people in the fitness industry should be do no harm. If there's tremendous harm elicited that's irresponsible, you're actually not doing your job. And then the other term that really stood out to me is body language. When said member comes to me, has communication with me, am I short, like, oh, I need to change this for this person again? Now I have to do more work. I don't know. I think that's the thought process of somebody that really doesn't want to be coaching. I think it's a gift in that moment when somebody comes up, it's like, ooh, I get to reach into my bag of tricks.
Yeah, you get to do your skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get to express it in a unique way. And I don't know about you, but I also think taking that skill a step further is not barking at the person of like, this is what you're going to do today. I actually like providing a menu. So here's the goal. Here's 3 exercises that I think will potentially serve you today. Which one stands out to you? You know, did you do any of these earlier in the week? What's your relationship with these particular movements? And okay, let's do this for this many reps at this particular weight, and I think that will serve you well today. And I don't know, it's really fun. It lights me up a little bit to hear the way you describe that.
Well,
and
that's
really,
you're creating agency.
Yeah.
For that client. You are inviting them, and it's like your coaching style is creating a partnership and there are very many different coaching styles. And, you know, if you have a dictator type coaching style, Invictus University is actually probably not for you. If you want to be telling people what they have to do. But if you view coaching as a collaborative process, then Invictus University is for you. And that's what you're describing, Bryce, is that you're using your coaching skills and you're creating opportunities and invitations for the client to also have agency. And when you do that, it requires them to reflect on, okay, how do I feel? Like, they've probably never had a coach ask them, hey, which movement do you want to do today? Because they're like, I don't know, whichever one you want me to do. And I'm like, you know, it's not about what I want for you today. But they will take a moment, they will pause, and then they'll realize, oh, actually, like, I don't really want to do that, but I feel like maybe I should lean in and practice that. And that is so cool when a member arrives at that decision, because you're like, oh, this is growth. Like, you're listening to what your mind or body is telling you, like you want or you need. And that is agency over their own physical self. And that is a gift that coaches can help their clients develop.
I totally agree. And it also allows people to be heard and understood. Because at the end of the day, if I'm coaching you, you know your body better than I ever will. And so if I want to serve you to the best of my ability, I can maybe ask better questions and then receive the data points that you're willing to share, which then, if we want to use like a chat GBT or, some sort of algorithmic thought process, all these data points are being put in there. The algorithm's doing its little dance and then it spits out potential option. But without the data points, coaches are going to need to guess.
Yeah.
They're going to place you in the realm of pattern recognition based on past experience, assign judgment based on the limiting data points that they can observe or listen to. And then there's not as much information that goes into the algorithm. But if you provide more data, the thing that comes out might serve you better and provide a better experience.
This episode is brought to you by Mush. My friends over at Mush created an incredibly cool product of ready-to-eat overnight oats. And for those of you that listen to the podcast often, you know simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And Mush has done just that, as their products have no more than 7 clean ingredients that are dairy-free, gluten-free, with no added sugar. Mush started right here at Invictus, as they had a vision to create convenient, healthy, and clean nutrition. And this landed them on Shark Tank, where the famous Mark Cuban invested in them. Now they're found in retailers all over the country, including Costco, Sprouts, Target, and Whole Foods. Check out my friends over at www.eatmush.com.
Yeah, absolutely.
This conversation's been super fun. If somebody is looking to understand the difference between Invictus University and maybe one of the other coaching programs out there, what are some of the key differences between the two?
Yeah. Invictus University is unique in that in this curriculum, it's a collaborative effort, right? The curriculum in Invictus University is not about teaching you, one coach's way to coach. Our program or how we do it at Invictus is always A, B, C, D. And I think that makes it unique because it allows coaches with different styles to see themselves in the curriculum and draw inspiration from different styles and methods. Invictus University is not, hey, let me teach you how to coach like CJ. Let me teach you how to coach like Kirsten or Bryce. It's going to give you a variety of skills, inspiration through a variety of methods, and then you can kind of plug and play your own strengths and weaknesses into this system. I also think Invictus University is unique in that we dig into both technical and tactical coaching skill sets. So yes, you will learn technical skills, how to hone and develop your coaching eye, how to have a game plan to like systemically work through, okay, I see a fault. Why might this fault be occurring? Do I have the technical skills and understanding to kind of linearly figure out at what point do I need to address and do I need to change? Is this a stability issue, a strength issue, a motor control issue? We dig into those topics, but we also dig very deep into, okay, building culture, what's our coaching language, and those skills of connecting on that biopsychosocial landscape, because we know that the technical foundation of coaching is only as effective as like that tactical skill set of being able to connect with humans. And there are actual skill sets, such as communication skills that will amplify or decrease the impact of our technical coaching skills.
No, I think those things are incredibly important. and language, communication. I think the other thing that's very cool about this coaching program is it helps steer you into the direction of continuing education. Certain books like the 5 Love Languages, understanding how to connect better with people, understanding certain coaching jargon, getting into Atomic Habits with James Clear, and striving to pull all these different tools. And this is a very amazing tool that's all inclusive, that helps provide so many different new tools to the toolbox. It's going to Home Depot or Lowe's for your coaching skills.
Yeah, it is.
That's super cool. What is the direction that you'd like to see coaching go? Obviously we talked about kind of where it is. What's the vision that you see this coaching program kind of leading people towards?
I'm really interested in conversing and just starting more dialogue with coaches that want to pursue this craft for a lifetime. Like, out of curiosity, Bryce, like, how many coaches do you know that are still in the game after like 10 years? I feel like
I think it's a really great point in the sense of the social narrative is, hey, when I get to my mid-30s, my body can't do this anymore. And really what I'm hearing there is burnout, lack of passion. Your skill set had to change and adopt, new strategies to implement service that are different than just the physical ones. And I think what's cool is you're giving people the opportunity to understand that it's not just this demonstrate the exercise, show up consistently, clean up the weights, do the same thing day in and day out, practice the art of trying to master the mundane until you just can't take it anymore. Then you go to corporate America, where you are now living the way that you told people not to live for the last decade.
yes.
Then you get older, and then it gets to the point where you're now paying out of pocket to deconstruct all the bad habits that were developed that you felt forced into as a byproduct of trying to monetize. But in reality, it was just a lack of skill set. And that's why I'm such a big believer in this program, is because like you're giving people the tools to be like, hey, that's an old construct that is now evolved, and we can change the narrative on that. And preventative medicine can work in synergy with reactive medicine, and we can find ways to make them both work. It's one of my favorite questions on the planet. Like, why can't we do both?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like you said, I maybe believe in a foolhardy way that coaching is one of the greatest careers, and it can be a lifetime journey. I truly believe that coaching is a craft. And if you are a craftsman of your trade, you realize that you can always improve and iterate. And that's not just like, I think sometimes when people hear that, they're like, oh, I can always be better. It can lead to this state
Not
where you're
feeling good enough.
yeah, where you're never satisfied, where you're like, oh, I'm always chasing. But in actuality, I think that there can be fulfillment in, oh, I'm good at my trade. And also knowing that I can continue to evolve. Actually, maybe people would be like, well, I can continue to get better. I'm like, yeah, I can get better. But for me, it's just evolution of maybe I'm better because I'm just doing it in a different way, or I made a subtle change. That is curiosity, and that is exploration. And when we bring elements of that, of creativity and exploration and curiosity to our coaching, we will naturally sustain our ability to stay in this career for a long time. I think we'll naturally develop and evolve our skill sets over time. And I think that that's what makes sustainable coaching. It's when we fall into the rut of, I'm not inspired, I'm not doing anything differently, I feel like I'm in a rut, I feel unfulfilled. That's when coaches burn out. And I think it's important, like I want to see coaches that have been in the industry still coaching 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, because as populations age, it's important to have coaches that represent us, right? Does
People you can relate with.
Yeah, like there should be 20-year-old coaches and there should be 60-plus-year-old coaches. And the 60-plus-year-old coaches shouldn't just be coaching 60-year-olds. They should be coaching the 20-year-olds and vice versa. And for me, like that would be like this beautiful integration of coaching people where they're at and having respect for really like this whole journey of health and fitness for the pursuit of life. And if we don't have coaches that want to still coach when they are master's age, then for me, that says something about the coaching industry and that it needs to evolve and change.
I absolutely agree that it needs to evolve and change. There shouldn't just be this narrative that health and fitness coaches need to be this jacked person with abs that, you know, has massive biceps and can do all these cool complex things. I think it's important to note what you said, just training for life, which sounds like such a cliche or cheesy statement.
It does.
Until you get to that age where you're like, whoa, I actually have a really hard time getting on the floor with my kids. I have a hard time, you know, carrying this object from my garage to, you know, inside of my house. And you start to reflect on some of these things. And, you know, how often do we hear the term, oh, it's just because I'm getting older. Getting older sucks. And it's like,
I hate that.
We can maybe, we can defy that a little bit through practice, through the continual use of play, moving things in different modalities. The intentions may change. The speed at which you do the said craft may change. But the intention of trying to do it to the best of your ability remains. And the other thing that I think is important to note, and I say this often, and that is we can learn so much from dogs and from children. I let my dog out into the same backyard every morning, and he is so excited to go outside because his lenses shift. He's like, oh my gosh, you know, there's rain today, or, you know, there was this squirrel out there this time, or there's this bird that time, or the sun's out today. And it's this unique excitement where it's the same fucking place, but he's got different lens. And he's got this hope of, I'm going to see something different. Here goes my next adventure. And that is coaching. You're not going to see necessarily the same thing. And if you have the gratitude and the magical lens shift of like, I might see something different today. I might be able to get closer with that member that, you know, didn't want to communicate before. Like yesterday was one of the coolest things. I crossed paths with 3 Invictus members. One of them was like, had this like pep in her step. She was like entering the room with confidence. And I was like, something's happening there, like in a positive light. The other woman had different outfit. You could tell like she was like, my body's starting to look good. I'm going to upgrade my wardrobe a little bit. And that's so cool to see. And then the other one was a teenage kid. And in the beginning was so shy. I'd be like, what's up, man? How's it going? And kind of check in with him. He'd kind of just like look at me. And then through the art of enhancing his social skills, continually showing up, now he's like, oh, dude, it's so good to see you. Like, and we got to embark on a little bit of a small conversation in passing. Those are 3 ways you can impact somebody's life that aren't metrics of how much did you lift.
Yeah.
You know, what's your time on the whiteboard? It's like there's so much more to this.
Yeah.
And then my last point is for coaches that are frustrated or feeling burnout, just think about how many gyms your members are passing in pursuit to come see you. There's gyms on every corner now. It's almost like a Starbucks. There's gyms everywhere. And there's levels to the game, obviously. But if you practice the art of gratitude and knowing that these people are coming to specifically see you, you take ownership over that. You're like, I'm going to make this the best part of their day. And I don't know. What are your thoughts on some of those things that I kind of threw at you?
I really love the reminder of there are gyms on every corner and people are walking in to see you at your gym. Like that is a great reminder for people of if we can like keep that in mind. I think it brings us that moment of, oh, okay, like what I do matters and it's like I need to deliver. And I think that when we do that through that space of gratitude, we sustain our ability to like show up as coaches for much longer.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the analogy with the dog going out into the yard. It is the same yard. Your dog is the same dog, but it's like he senses new smells. He sees something different, but in the same space, right? And in actuality, when I hear that analogy, I think, oh, that is humans. Humans are the dog, and our body is the yard. So every day we wake up and we're in the same body. But if we can learn to cultivate our awareness, the ability to actually reflect, we can become attuned to seeing and, in particular, feeling all these different things about our body. And I tell people that all the time. I'm like, hey, one of my goals as a coach, I tell this to my clients, is I want you to start being able to tell me what feels right, what you feel like you need to do today. And at first, people are like, what? Just tell me what to do. And I'm like, that's not my coaching style, but I'm going to meet you where you're at right now. And if you do fitness long enough and you have coaches that are helping to elicit intuitive training and opportunities for reflection within your physical practice, you will start to become aware of what your body is craving and what it's telling you, right? Do you feel the need, like you need to like crush something in the gym today? Do you feel like you just need to sustain? Do you feel like, I don't know, I had a friend that they were like, whenever I feel like I need change in my life, I have a strong desire to do handstands and do inversions. And I was like, oh, that's like the greatest example of you being really in tune with like what your emotional and psychological state is manifesting in a physical way. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, these things are happening, right? When you have a workout and you leave feeling like, oh, that was just what I needed, you aligned movement with what you needed for that day. And if you never feel like that, for me, that's just like a travesty. I'm like, man, we're like living this physical body. Don't you kind of want to like listen to like what it needs and give it what it wants and needs periodically, rather than just like, I don't know, being like, well, program says 5x5 back squat. Guess I'll do that. You know? I don't know.
Yeah, it's shifting the perspective from a robotic, just follow the rules approach to thinking gently outside of the box. And I mean, health and fitness coaching is truly a blend of art and science. And I think you're creating a really amazing structure that I think is just the tip of the iceberg. I am a fanboy from afar. I love seeing you light up and talk about it. Do you have any last minute thoughts that you'd love to share with our audience today?
Just coaches out there, dig into your craft. If you wake up today and you're a coach and you aren't anything but excited to go do what you're going to go do on the coaching floor, contact another coach, like reach out, go to a neighborhood gym, go drop into a class somewhere else, get inspired by seeing somebody else do their craft of coaching. And if you don't have another gym to go to, send us an email at Invictus. We're just super passionate about helping coaches be great at what they do and stay in the industry and be excellent at what they do. So hopefully coaches out there can take some level of inspiration and excitement out of this conversation.
Totally. I also want to echo something we chatted about briefly earlier, and that is the term coach shouldn't come with a level of insecurity. There's absolutely levels to the game, just like doctor, just like lawyer, just like firefighter, just like nurse. And I think it's important to note that helping people is where the magic happens. And I think service to other people is where the magic happens. It doesn't need to be some sort of demeaning term where at holiday get-togethers, people ask what you do and you give that term coach, and all of a sudden that diminishes the level of respect that's been returned. I think it is a gift. And that's not just my bias. That's in connecting with some of the world's highest performers continually. Service and helping people and being there to co-pilot people's journeys towards peak expression or seeking edges, I think is one of the greatest things that you can do on this planet. And you're going to have one hell of a story in co-piloting some of these very unique and special journeys. And I think we did a good job articulating that today. Kirsten, where can people find you? How can they get in contact with you about Invictus University?
If you want to get in direct contact about Invictus University, you can send an email directly to learn, LEARN, at CrossFitInvictus.com. I'll answer that email account and get back to you personally. If you want to learn more about the program, you can go to our website, CrossFitInvictus.com, go to our programs page, and you'll find a link to Invictus University. If you want to follow me directly, you can find me on the social medias at wellread.meathead. And I post lots of my own insights and share ideas on my own coaching journey. And I'd love to talk to anybody that wants to sit down and hash out coaching stuff.
There you have it, guys. A very special conversation with the founder and creator of Invictus University, Kirsten Arndt. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time.
Thank you for having me on, Bryce.
Are you over 35 and in need of a solid training program? Are you looking to improve your athleticism and keep up with the younger athletes in your CrossFit gym? Then look no further than our Invictus Masters program. This program places year-round emphasis on mobility and stability exercises with movements that we have seen directly benefit our Masters athletes. Our program is led by Nicole DeHart and offers a training program designed specifically for Masters athletes who are looking to compete at a higher level in the sport of CrossFit. Some of our top Masters athletes in the world train with us, including CrossFit Games champion Kevin Kester, Matt Beals, and Pat Sprague. You can learn more about their stories and the Invictus Masters program by checking out their episodes right here on the Invictus Mindset Podcast. If you'd like more information about the current training cycle or to join the Invictus Masters program, please email Nicole at invictusathlete.com. That's NICHOLE at invictusathlete.com.